It's Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man, Okay, but, I am not the biggest superhero fan. I enjoy the MCU movies. I kinda, I guess, sometimes enjoy DC movies. But I mainly stick to, like, comedies and even rom-coms, surprisingly. Not, like, all of them, but there's only a couple, really. Just general comedies, though. The more serious movies sometimes get a bit old, but that's why MCU's kind of nudged itself into things that I've watched and enjoyed versus, like, kind of having to sit there and deal with it. Like, when I had to watch Aquaman, I just couldn't stand watching it. I was stuck in the theater. And why I specifically brought up Spider-Man is, although he's not my favorite of the Marvel characters, he's definitely a favorite. My favorite Marvel character actually has to be Ghost Rider. From watching my brother play the PlayStation 2 game, it's kind of like God of War, like one of them kind of beat 'em up ones, to just, in general, really liking how he looks. I've always liked him. But beneath that little totem pole, which I can't even name specifically what order unless I thought about it more, you have, like, I almost said Mr. Freeze by accident because I'm not going blank right now because I almost said Frieza. But basically, we have Mysterio. Yeah, he's my favorite Spider-Man villain. As far as I know, he's a Spider-Man villain from everything I've seen, whether it be Spider-Man Friend or Foe. I'm not even looking into it. I'm assuming so because of all the things I've seen. But he has to be my favorite villain of just Marvel. Then you have, of course, I already said Spider-Man. He's one of the ones I really like as well. And to go further into Spider-Man a bit more, there's so many memes around him that I enjoy, which, I mean, plenty of people around the world do. And also, I grew up around more Spider-Man products, I guess, than other superhero products. Like, I knew Superman, I knew Batman, and I knew Spider-Man. Those are like the trifecta of, you know about these when you're younger. And nowadays, I guess, like, the MCU, especially, like, Iron Man's gonna be a lot more center focused, Captain America. But in my household, it was, my brother has Spider-Man stuff. The only reason why we know about the other ones a bit more is because they're so popular. Like, I watched Batman cartoons. But you know what I watched alongside Batman cartoons? Primarily Spider-Man cartoons. Because I liked those more. Like, whether it be watching the DVDs over and over again of, like, the 2 DVDs, we have one with Daredevil, and the other one being, I can't remember if it's the same disc, but I know it's the disc that has the episode where he gets basically choked out by an air deprivation chamber, and all these different little bits, and also the episode where his favorite fan has to go save him because his memory was wiped. Back on the PlayStation 2, I mentioned it, Friend or Foe. I played that game. I completed it. I watched my brother play it. It was always a fun experience. So far from childhood, we have just seeing it everywhere. We have cartoons, we have the games, stuff that basically people are going to always do. I never got into the cards. I know someone that got into the cards, and I lived with someone that got into the cards, but I never even saw those cards till I was already an adult, so that doesn't really collide with my liking. But it's also the fact of how like, there's certain characters, you look at it and it seems a lot more one way or the other. Like, if you looked at Batman, it's the brooding dark type kinda, or of course cool. Superman's, he's the goody two-shoes. That's not, of course, true at all, mattering what you're looking at. But then you go and get Peter Parker, specifically that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, which there's already so many other ones. But the fact that there's just, especially like the nerdy one, it can go and relate to a lot of people that are going to be watching or reading comics of him. And then, with of course, like, the cartoons I watched, he's a lot more, especially, like, the nerdy, like, kid, not adult, but kid, or, like, it relates a lot more to the person watching, even if it's not the nerdy part. Like, for example, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, it really pops out, where he plays both parts pretty well. He acts as the hero, but he still is a kid, and he does that really well. There's just a lot of arguments between the different Spider-Mans that have been portrayed, but I think all of them are good, just in their different ways. I just like Tom Holland's performance a lot compared to the other ones overall. And another cool thing is specifically how there's so many different Spider-Men and Spider-Women, Spider-People, Spider-Things, like how there's a Spider-Cat, how there's Gwen Stacy, how there, well, yeah, like Spider-Gwen, you know. You got all these different versions of the whole multiverse, which, branching into it, the multiverse. The first movie, I really liked that movie compared to some other Spider-Man, like, content. Overall MCU content, I know it's not necessarily, like, it's just the fact it is Marvel in a movie. Really, that's all I'm gonna put it under for that at this point. But it's not the cinematic universe, of course. That is one of my favorite movies, was Spider-Verse. But I still, to the point of this upload, have not seen the movie for the second one at all. And I'm still looking forward to it. I heard it was good. I really still want to watch it. But it's another reason for me to like Spider-Man, you know? Like, when am I going to get another Ghost Rider movie? I remember liking the Ghost Rider movie. When am I going to get another Ghost Rider game? Like, probably not. When am I going to get another Mysterio game? Probably not, but in Spider-Man Friend or Foe, he's the final enemy. Like, I think that the popularity of Spider-Man is just one of the biggest things because I was revealed, but I was exposed to it so early on. And kind of going into a more blanket statement instead of going to this and that, like, oh, let's talk about multiverse, let's talk about this. Spider-Man, like, the character, you already know there's been bad, like, Elsa Gate, but that's not the character's fault at all, it's just people using how popular he is. I think it's also the fact of how simple his design is compared to some other ones. I mean, the Hulk is pretty simple, it's just super muscular dude that's green, if you wanted to, like, simplify it. Iron Man is red gold dude, but he has a lot more intricate details in parts of his armor. Then you get Spider-Man, yeah, he has intricate, like, web patterns on him, but he sometimes is so simple of a design. It's basically, people just see it, guy wearing red suit with white eyes, black circles around the eyes, and he's just hanging out, whatever. He's upside down over here, he's over here, he has spider on his chest, which, technically that would mean Deadpool is a lot more simple, but also the fact that, unlike some other characters that have some specific branches, his trauma, at least from, like, the generic, like, stance of what people usually see, is his uncle dying. And then, because his uncle dying is that triggering, like, trauma, that the rest of the stuff happens of him. He's never gonna kill. He's never gonna this. He's never gonna that. And, yeah, there's, like, Batman. His whole thing is he didn't want to kill at all either. And this is mainly diving into comic territory. I'm trying to stay away from the comics as much as I can, just everything that's not been in the comics that I remember. It's just, Spider-Man's a lot more accessible, I feel like, when it comes to certain things because of how simple, like, all of them are to a degree with how simple they can be, but I guess it's just an appeal. Because you have dude jumping everywhere. It's not a guy like Iron Man where he has cannons. It's not a guy like Hulk where he's just beating up people. Spider-Man, yeah, he might beat up people, but he's like, I'm gonna shoot my webs at you, I'm gonna put you in, like, this hammock, I'm gonna, like, grab you midair, but I'm gonna swing. I can't fly. So, it's kind of more akin to Iron Man in the sense of not actually having powers. But, I mean, you know, he does have powers, of course, so it's a lot more of, like, right there before there's nothing, so it feels a lot more relatable. And that goes back to him being his, like, more childlike or actual child depictions, where he's a lot more relatable, even to someone that's an adult, because they were a child in their past, so they can relate to it. And the struggles of maybe going towards adult life or maintaining friendships doesn't have to be through being a superhero. It can be through just life changes that you have and all these other things that happen to you throughout life, you know? And this has been really rambly, but, like, what else am I gonna talk about with Spider-Man drawing, you know? And I felt like it was in tune. I might even make like a little update at some point, like a little short or something. Probably not. But whenever I actually do end up watching the movie. I think in general though that, I don't know. Okay, but these single take kind of like opinion rant video things I get that they can be kind of annoying because they're not edited, there's gaps, there's a lot, there's all that, but you really get not that much out of it, but you get the fact. I like Spider-Man. And I do hope you have a wonderful night, day, your birthday, whatever it is for you. Bye-bye.